Hello everyone, my name is Curtis Sacco and this is my community connection project for teaching exceptional students in the secondary settings. The student that I chose to work with for this experience has ADHD and possibly autism spectrum disorder. I'd characterize this by his different social interactions and behavior. He always had to be up and moving, he had to be the center of attention. If we are doing a quiet activity, he would be singing or dancing so the other children would laugh at him. If we were doing a group discussion, he would yell out above other students who were talking. The other students didn't really try to bridge this gap, and he's in the mainstream classroom. Every day he does some kind of misbehavior to try to gain the attention of my co-teacher and I. However, his academic performance is remarkable, his grades and test scores are very high, and he requires the least amount of help with assignments. So he is really, really intelligent, and you know this, you can just tell. What I learned that I did not expect to learn were alternative approaches to behavioral discipline, how to redirect behavior, and activities to benefit students with behavioral issues. For instance, instead of just punishing or isolating the student away from the group, I learned to give activities such as word searches or crosswords, which would keep the student focused on one task instead of disrupting the rest of the group while we worked on homework or another activity. I also learned how to redirect behavior because instead of only punishing or only going after the misbehavior, I chose to reward the good behavior, whether it was small or big, because when you work with a student with behavioral issues, you have to start with small things if you want him to develop the appropriate behavior, which is less disruptful and more productive for the class. I also learned how to use more moving and up and atom activities to benefit students with behavioral issues. So I would just make it a game to learn or complete assignments. I definitely learned a lot about myself through this experience. For instance, my patience and adaptability level. While working with this student with disabilities, the behavior really challenged my patience because it was frustrating when he would act out, but I had to be patient and adapt to his behavior because I wanted him to become less disruptive and become more accepted by his peers. And I see that difference that I made because now the other students will embrace him just the same, and his acting out has definitely decreased a lot. I had to really adapt to get him to focus and just be more patient and understanding of his behavior. I didn't want to be that mean guy who's yelling at him and making him sit away from the group. And that is definitely an influence, I think, on not only the student but the whole class together, because I don't want them to feel like they need to isolate themselves away from him or isolate him alone. They should embrace him and understand that even though his behavior is different, it can be accepted and he can be accepted. I would definitely say that through this experience, my comfort level has increased with working and living with people with disabilities, because now that I've become exposed to it, I understand it more, and I can be much more patient and less apprehensive around people with disabilities because, like I said, I've been exposed to it, and I understand that we shouldn't try to always change the way people learn or people work. We should adapt to it because it's not always their fault, and usually it's not. It's more inherent. So we shouldn't be so judgmental of people with disabilities. And I definitely would relate this experience to growing up with my little brother who had ADHD, because while we were younger, it was really frustrating and aggravating for me. But now that I'm older and I've gone through this experience, I definitely understand it more, and I think that had we been a little bit more patient with him, maybe he wouldn't have acted out so much. I can definitely utilize the knowledge that I gained through this experience to plan more interactive activities to keep students with behavioral issues entertained and focused. I can also utilize what I learned to be more comfortable in a class with students with disabilities, because now I know that I can adapt and I know that I have the ability to be patient and adaptive with students with disabilities. I can also plan lessons to be more inclusive for students who are visual learners, students who are audio learners, students who are more kinesthetic. It will be easier now to know that I can plan for things like that. And I can also utilize group work, which will include students with their peers regardless of their own attitudes towards each other. I want them to work with each other to understand each other more so that we're not isolating anyone and we're not keeping anyone away from the group. In conclusion, I would say that this experience definitely induces personal growth and opens our minds to individuals we've grown up around, prepares us for future classes, and enhances understanding of students with disabilities. I think that this is a very new experience for a lot of us, and even if it's not, I think that you still grow as a person because you have to learn to be more patient and more understanding of the student. I also think that with working with someone, you definitely have much better of an experience. I think it's a lot easier to learn through a book or through presentations, through tests, but you don't really actually understand until you're actually out there working with the students with disabilities. I also think this prepares us for our future classes because we will have students with disabilities in them, and I think that it's really beneficial to be able to work with them before we get to that point. And I definitely think it enhances our understanding of these students because now that we've worked with them, we kind of understand them more and we know a little bit more what we need to be doing to address their needs.